Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Milton and Tamar Maltz Performing Arts Center at the Temple Tifereth, Israel, on the campus of Case Western Reserve University. Thank you for braving the cold tonight. Thank you for those of you watching online tonight. Welcome, Happy New Year. I want to welcome you back to the second half of our Silver Hall concert series. I am also immensely grateful and pleased to announce our sponsor, the Andrews Foundation, who is making this series possible and providing funding for amazing artists like what you're going to see tonight. Please keep your programs online. Check out our website, case.edu/maltzcenter. We have some amazing concerts coming up in the future. We have a whole nother series called Something Different. It is a whole series of different concerts, different from anything you would see in Cleveland, all different from each other, all family friendly. Please come down and take a look, or stay home and watch it on your computer. You can do all of that from here. So now, without further ado, Renovare.
Good evening. Oh my goodness, we are so excited to be here tonight. We have been so looking forward to this. So my name is Lalia. This is Rebecca, and together we are Renovare, and we are stoked to be here at the Maltz Performing Arts Center, and so a big thank you to the hall for having us and to the crew for doing such an amazing job getting all this equipment set up for us.
Like Lalia said, we're really excited to be here in this beautiful space tonight. For every concert we give in a gorgeous hall like this, we give a dozen or more in places in our community that aren't quite so aesthetically pleasing, places that wouldn't look amazing on your Instagram feed. Those are places like prisons, homeless shelters, hospitals, and other corners of our community that don't have much access to live performances or music classes. We do this because Renovare's vision and our whole reason for being is to bring hope and healing through music.
Tonight, as we go through the program, we're going to be sharing with you some ways that we do that. But I'm sure you didn't come here to just hear us talk. So we're going to get started with a set of Scottish tunes for you. This is Calliope meets Frank.
Thank you so much. Sometimes people are surprised to learn that we take these instruments, all of the many different places that we go, given the fact that in some places where we play, folks don't even know what this is called, or they maybe haven't had the chance to see one before. And sometimes we're asked, do people even like your kind of music? Which I don't always quite know what they mean because we play a whole lot of different kinds of music. But we let our audiences speak for themselves, and over again, the response we get from our audiences is yes, even if they haven't heard it before. Our experience is that if we bring it with a posture of humility and with stories and with questions and make it a conversation, people are surprised sometimes to learn that they like the cello and the violin. And that was true of one of our audience members recently at the St. Vincent Charity Medical Center. We were playing downtown at this hospital, and we were on the unit for people who are in a drug recovery program. And he confessed after we played that last piece that he hadn't really wanted to come hear this performance. He wasn't sure what he was getting into. But after we played that piece, he was up on his feet and he wanted to dance and he wanted a recording of it and he wanted to hear more and he was just so excited. So I always think of him now whenever we play that piece.
The next piece that we're going to play, we're going to stick to our Scottish theme here, is also a favorite from our friends over at St. Vincent. We played this piece in St. Vincent way back in March, I believe, and then we were back at St. Vincent last month in December. And while we were there, somebody came up to us showing us a video that he had taken of this piece from back in March because he loved it so much and he kept listening to it and still enjoyed it. So we hope you enjoy it as much as he did, even several months later.
This is Stirling Haas set.
Thank you. So typically, as we play concerts around Cleveland, we like to identify a specific theme or an overarching idea, and this helps us select the pieces that we're going to play and the different ways that we want to engage with our audience. And we particularly love finding stories behind the music and stories that inspire us and then we hope will inspire other people. So this next selection that we're going to play is probably a tune that you've heard before, but what you might not be familiar with is the story behind it. So back in the 50s and 60s, during the civil rights movement, there were 9 black students who were the first students of color to integrate into Little Rock Central High School in Arkansas. They're known as the Little Rock Nine. As you can imagine, these students faced a lot of hatred and a lot of persecution. It got so bad that military personnel had to be called in to protect them from the rioters and the protesters. And even amidst it all, these 9 students just embodied courage and resilience and peaceful persistence. And the Beatles were inspired by that. And they wrote this song, Blackbird, in hopes that that would encourage the fight for civil rights. So we hope you enjoy our rendition of Blackbird.
The story and message of Blackbird was situated at a particular moment in our history in this country, but it's certainly true that for hundreds of years prior to the Civil Rights Movement, and even to the present day, African Americans and other people of color have faced incredible difficulties and persecution and all manner of really unimaginable circumstances living in this country. And back in the time of slavery, people who were in bondage on these plantations would use music, would use spirituals and hymns as ways of communicating with one another, of passing secret messages, of encouraging each other, of finding something to hold on to live another day. Music was literally a matter of life and death in some of these situations. And this next piece that we're going to play for you is built off of one of these spirituals. It's perhaps not the best known spiritual, though, so we wanted to introduce it to you by singing a portion of it before we play the actual piece itself. So this is a spiritual called City Called Heaven.
I am a poor pilgrim of sorrow. I'm tossed in this wide world alone. No hope have I for tomorrow. I've started to make heaven my home. Sometimes I'm tossed and driven, Lord. Sometimes I don't know where to roam. I've heard of a city called heaven. I've started to make it my home.
So the African-American composer, Coleridge Taylor Perkinson, took this spiritual and he put his own unique musical voice to it. Coleridge Taylor Perkinson's music is a huge range. He's written for jazz artists and pop artists like Harry Belafonte and Marvin Gaye. And also he's composed for orchestras all around the world. In this particular piece, he decides to mess with it in a really unusual way, and he uses a technique called unisons, where he has the violinist play the same note on two different strings at the same time. It's really fun. But it creates this really, really beautiful color that reminds me of like an old vinyl recording. And amongst other techniques that he adds for both the violin and cello, because of these changes, Perkinson renamed this piece, City Called Heaven, to Walkin' All Over God's City Called Heaven. So we hope you enjoy taking this walk with us.
Thank you so much. The last time we played that, it was in a prison, and this is a very different space to share that music in. We've got one more piece for you on this first half of the program, and then we'll have a 15-minute intermission, after which we have some really powerful stories to share with you from two women who have previously been incarcerated, and music from two men who are currently in prison. And while you're on intermission, you may find it helpful to grab your smartphone, and if you are a Facebook or Instagram user, go on there, find us. We are Renovare Music on both of those platforms, because we put a post up just this morning that you may find helpful in the second half of the program. It has some lyrics for one of the songs, two of the songs we're going to do. So if you are on those platforms, find us during intermission. While you're at it, give us a follow, give us a like. We'd love to know who's here tonight, be able to stay in touch with you.
Before that, though, we have one final piece for this half. And this piece does something similar to what the Perkinson did, except this time the inspiration is Johann Sebastian Bach. And the Japanese composer and violinist Hirono Sugimoto Borter took Bach's iconic chaconne for solo violin, and she added her unique musical voice to it. And she did this, one significant way is by adding a cello part to a piece written for solo violin. Helps me out, though I play less notes. It's good. This piece, Hirono titles Galaxy. And when we asked her why she called it Galaxy, she said that this piece captures her aural image of the galaxy, of the stars and planets swirling in space. So we hope you enjoy this piece.
Thanks so much for sticking around. We're glad you're back. We're glad to be back. Thanks again for braving the cold and the snow to be here with us tonight. And thanks again to the crew here at the Maltz Center. They were so helpful, skillful, terrific, getting everything set up and the mics and the sound you're going to be hearing in the second half. So we're just really grateful to them for all their work and for having us. The first piece on this half of the program may be a familiar tune for many of you. It is based on the hymn tune Simple Gifts, which is a shaker melody, and this particular arrangement is based on a recording that Yo-Yo Ma and Alison Krauss did. What makes this really special for us is that we got this music transcribed for us by way of a man named Daniel Kraft, who's currently doing time at the Mansfield Correctional Institution. It's a prison about an hour and a half southwest of here. And he sent us this music in the fall, and it's just been really a joy to be able to share it with audiences. I'm struck by the first line of the text of this tune. It goes, "'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free." And as we were preparing to play this piece tonight, I was struck by the irony of the fact that the man who brought us this piece is not free. And it speaks volumes, I think, to the resilience of the human spirit and the need we all have for beauty and the need we all have to seek after freedom in whatever way that can look like, regardless of our circumstances in life, regardless of the challenges that we're facing. And for Daniel to be creating music, transcribing music, writing his own music, and teaching a music theory class, even while he's incarcerated, is just such a beautiful and inspiring reminder to us of the ways that we have this fire, this spirit inside us that just can't be held down by circumstances.
We had the privilege of getting to meet Daniel when we played at Mansfield Correctional last month. Was that December? Yeah. And we got to share with him that we have been playing this piece that he transcribed, and he was so delighted that he got to be part of bringing music to people beyond the walls of his prison cell. So we hope you enjoy his transcription tonight of Simple Gifts.
Thank you. As Renovare has shared music with people in so many different places and circumstances these last 4 years, I'm consistently struck by the people that we meet and play for. The resilience and the courage and the hope that we see demonstrated in the lives of people who have been impacted by poverty, incarceration, and other experiences that we simply haven't had continues to amaze and just blow me away. It's really not just a one-way street of us bringing something and giving it to people. We receive so much in return. We learn so much from our audiences, from our students. We just get this tremendous privilege of getting to be able to share with people and learn from them and hear their ideas and hear their experiences and hear their stories. And I'm convinced that we are the poorer when we don't know these stories and when we don't hear these people's life experiences. We truly need one another.
We realize that not everyone has the opportunity to hear some of these stories. And so Renovare has started a new program area called Voices. And these events that we call Voices are for our community to be able to hear these stories on a more personal level that goes beyond just statistics or headlines that you might read. The current program that we're working on right now is focused on women who have experiences with incarceration. The number of women in prison has increased by 800% over the last 40 years. That means that they are the largest, fastest growing demographic of people in prison in this country.
We're going to give you a taste of this Voices concert tonight through sharing with you the stories of two women, Lisa and Melissa, who I think might even be with us tonight. It's a little hard with the lights and the masks to tell, but they were both hoping to join us this evening. The first story we'll share with you is Lisa's. From the moment that we met Lisa, her joy and her energy was evident. And when you hear her story, these things become all the more remarkable because Lisa has been through so much, and she has really had some challenging life experiences and had things that have, I don't know, they would knock a lot of people down off their feet permanently. But Lisa has joy and energy and resilience even in spite of them. We're going to be playing, accompanying a narrative of her story, and it's Lisa's own voice who you'll be hearing in this story, so that you can be inspired by her as well. We hope you are.
Hi, my name is Lisa Hartman. I used to be in the mortgage banking industry before I became a drunk. I've been married. It lasted 10 years. Then I got a divorce. The divorce turned into a custody battle with split custody and one kid in Ohio and one kid in Florida. My oldest sister had cancer and died. She was only 35. So all of these things were going on all at once. So my drinking just got worse and worse and worse. By the time I had left Florida, I was a full-blown drug addict. When my parents finally got me back here, my sister passed away. And I was just kind of like, I can't fix this. I've destroyed everything. And my parents don't mean it, but they're like, oh my God, you screwed up your life. So you just think everything's over. Like my mom said, I screwed up my life. So I was lost in this drug world for about 5 years before it just became alcohol, alcohol, alcohol. Really, from 2001 to 2006 was my really bad drug period. But from 2007 to 2009, I was a full-blown drunk. In my mind, at least, I wasn't doing drugs. And my boyfriend was an officer of rank with EMS. He was a full-blown alcoholic. So now I'm running around with police officers and family members of people in EMS. They're all drinking, but at the same time saying to me, if we catch you with drugs, we'll turn you in for your own good. But hey, come party with us. It was this mixed message kind of thing. And then they gave me a wife badge. We got pulled over every other day and they would just say, oh, okay, it's you, and let us go. So you think that it's your safety net, but in actuality, it's contributing to the problem. It was his car that I crashed. I'm convicted of aggravated vehicular homicide. I'm your typical drunk driver. It wasn't the first time. I'm not going to play like it was a freak accident. I was a raging alcoholic. And sooner or later, my garbage spilled over and ended up taking someone else's life. I lived at the Northeast Reintegration Center for 5.5 years out of a 9-year sentence. The other 3.5, I was at the Ohio Reformatory for Women, plus another 7 or 8 months sitting in the county jail just waiting for that to play out. The first few months, you're kind of numb. When you're in prison, you really don't know what's going on. You don't know what's going to happen to you. And you don't have the time to look at yourself. You're just wondering, am I going to get probation or life? Being shunned by everybody that's in there because they're in and out for minor offenses and you're sitting there like having no idea. You can't even really grasp the gravity of what you've done at that point. It's so very hard. Then the news comes on, and that's pretty scary, and deservingly so, I guess. You have TV cameras shoved in your face, you have all of these officials, and you're chained up to a table, and it's almost so superficial. They just want you to stand and say, oh, I'm sorry, just so they can say, no, she's really not sorry. You can't even convey that. Once you truly realize what you have done, how does I'm sorry cover it? It just doesn't. So I understand sometimes when I see other things going on, why people choose not to talk. Because there's kind of no point. You can't go back. You can't actually say something meaningful that would make a difference. So I said very little at my sentencing. But I did get forgiveness from my victim's mother, and that helps. She forgave me right at the sentencing. I couldn't even grasp it then, I don't think, even when she said it. She got up, she literally just turned around and she says, God told me I'm to forgive you, so I forgive you. I don't condone what you did, but I forgive you. And it was just that simple. It was a hard road to walk. I know that there are innocent people in prison. I know there are people in prison that do a whole lot more time for something a lot less, being that our judicial system is the way that it is. But I feel like my sentence was fair, and I needed every day of it. Now I look at it, and I don't want to say it was fun. That's not the right word. I would never have had this happen, but the Lord has done so much with it. God is so amazing. He is so amazing. I wasn't saved before I went to prison. I didn't believe that there was a God or anything. But there were key people that I truly believe that God put there that said key phrases to me that just stuck. He put these people in my path to sit down in a compassionate and brutally honest way. And that's the one thing that I can say, is that I needed that much time. I needed every day of it, or I wouldn't have listened to anything. It would have been all the outside worldly forces. You didn't mean it. What's the chance that it could happen again? How many times do you have to say you're sorry? Things like that, instead of sitting down and saying, why? Why am I like this? Why did I do this? The judge didn't sentence me to death, so my choice is to keep living. So how can I do that in a different manner that will bring glory and honor to God? I'm 50 now, and looking back over the last 20 years, you see things that God gifted you with from birth, that you once ran away from, you wanted nothing to do with. I always had everything I needed, I just couldn't open my eyes to see that then. The biggest gift that I knew that I had was my art. When I was a little kid, that was always out drawing and playing, in my food, making sculptures. Molasses and mashed potatoes are great for that. But you know, life happens. You don't just sit around all day drawing. So it's something that I knew I had a gift for, but nothing that I practiced. Chaplain Breidinger brought that out. When I got to Northeast, like within the first 30 days, he had me painting on the walls. So literally, the walls of the prison taught me how to paint. They had a business program that got me into where you could legally sell your artwork instead of doing the trading and bartering thing. And you could get supplies sent in for you. So my daughter did that, and it aided in paying off my fines, my court costs, things like that. So I was able to actually make a living that way, doing kids' portraits and things like that. And it took off into, we need you to make a prop for this. We need you to make a backdrop for that. Photographs, all kinds of projects. So I kept very, very busy. I didn't really have a group of friends in prison. I did what I was asked to do. I sat on my bed, I read this Bible until it started to make sense. Then I had some staff members actually take notice and started helping me out with that. Then I got involved with some recovery groups. Then they introduced me to codependency, and that is when my life began to make sense. When I actually saw those reasons, like that the alcohol and the drugs were just self-medicating, a remedy for why I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. So I dove into that for several years. There was also the painting, and I was part of the silent language choir. Then I helped to start a worship band. It was a lot of learning. They gave me structure that I had never had, and I was just always loud, obnoxious, and drunk, and I wanted to go because I had too much time on my hands. I didn't feel like I was doing anything with my life. I served no purpose before 2009. After getting out, they placed me in a city that I knew nothing about on a bus line in Akron. Eventually, I got back up here. Living arrangements were tough because, landlords look at your record and they're like, no, I'm not going to rent to you. So that's something that in the future I would love to be able to buy an apartment building or bridge the gap for people there. I don't know what it looks like yet, but that's the long-term goal. This December will be 4 years out, and art is what I do for a living today. I went and I got a shop to work out of. We are Push and Paint with Lisa and Men Are on the Lake. Obviously for push, pray until something happens. And paint. It's actually working. I've made my rent for the last 7 months in a row. We do little paint parties and home decor and painted pumpkins and centerpieces, ornaments and cakes. And I've got a couple of realtors that have asked me to make gifts for when they make their sales to their clients. All kinds of little creative projects like that. I have situations sometimes when after people meet you, they're like, oh, you don't look like a criminal. I have to laugh. What does a criminal look like? We're all just people, and when you break it down into the smallest part, we're just people that made mistakes. I got caught, I'm guilty, I paid for it. I still paid for it. I'll forever pay for it. It is what it is. Not that I'm looking to be released from that, because my salvation came at a very high price. It took someone else's life. But Jesus paid it first. So I feel like it costs double. And I don't forget that. And at the same time, I don't live in it every day. And I don't forget all of the privilege that I have came at that high price. The very fact that we open our eyes in a free world is a blessing. Life is good. Life is hard though. You have to actively choose joy and choose to be grateful.
The next story that we're going to share is from Melissa. From the moment we met Melissa, I feel like we were instant friends. I had such a fun time getting to meet her and hear her story. And she was so transparent and open when sharing her story with us. It's just so inspiring and remarkable. We had so much fun writing this song and getting to know Melissa.
For Melissa's story, we use something called documentary songwriting to capture some of her experiences and some of the things that she wants to share with her children, with the women who she currently mentors who are incarcerated, and with anyone else who's listening. And documentary songwriting is this really amazing way that we can sit down with someone, whether or not they have a background in music, and together co-write a song based on their life and their experience. And it's a step-by-step process that when you get to the end of it, it seems like every time you've created this amazing song. Not to pat ourselves on the back, because we didn't come up with it. This method was developed by a man named Dr. Malcolm Brooks, and it's now its own 501c3 nonprofit as well. And they train people like us to be able to do this, to be able to go into the community and listen to people's stories and write these songs with them. And it comes together faster than I believed possible before I did the training. I think we spent about a total of 4 hours with Melissa, and in two-hour sessions, created this song together. So, without further ado, this is Have Hope.
My life to please other people, completing that checklist from family and culture, but still I wasn't happy. It all came crashing down. Have hope. You can still recreate your life. Set a pattern for my children. I put my 3 kids on the school bus one morning. I said I'd see them that night, but left for 7 years. Have hope. You can still recreate your life. Choose things carefully. Know the repercussions last longer than your sentence. Find peace with your decisions so you don't have regret. Live your life. There's freedom in being who you are. To go from a life of luxury and privilege illegally obtained, it all came to nothing. A chance for a new checklist. I'm on my checklist now. Have hope. You can still recreate your life. Find yourself, find who you're meant to be. Pare down your list of wants. Choose things carefully. Know the repercussions last longer than your sentence. Find peace with your decisions so you don't have regret. Live your life. There's freedom in being who you are. These days I'm not in contact with my children. I want to stop generational curses. If that is what it takes, then that's an answered prayer. Have hope. You can still recreate your life. Find yourself, find who you're meant to be. Pare down your list of wants. Choose things carefully. Know the repercussions last longer than your sentence. Find peace
The work of creating these voices programs takes a lot longer than just picking pieces of music and putting a concert together. And sometimes people ask us, why do you put all of that time in? Or why do you do Renovare in the first place? And for us, it all boils down to the love of God. We believe that God loves each and every person on this world, and in whatever way we can, we want to be a conduit of that love. And we want to use the gifts and things that we've been given to be able to encourage people, to inspire their own creativity, to build communities, and to be able to, together, because we need people we play for just as much, if not more, than they need us to pursue wholeness together.
For our final two songs, we have a special treat for you. So, Renovare teaches a weekly class out at Kraft Correctional Institution, which is medium security men's prison. And we teach 14 men to play violin, viola, and cello. And it's definitely one of our biggest joys. One of our students wrote and produced an album called Still Life. His name is William, and his album is streaming on Spotify and Apple Music. You should all go listen to it. It's amazing, and his music has been really impactful for both of us. And so tonight, we're going to record two songs from his album. We're going to play his songs Caught and I Wish.
The original versions of these songs have synthesized strings and some piano and horns and other melodic instruments. And with William's blessing, we are doing a lot of those portions of his songs live tonight, and then keeping other parts of the tracks in the recorded mix. And so yesterday we were at prison teaching class, and I was getting this updated mix for tonight. Nothing like doing things the day before. And it wasn't our fault. Prison was shut down for a month because of COVID, so we couldn't get in. But as we were working with William and another one of our students who did all of producing to get these tracks, I asked him if there was anything he wanted to share tonight. And he asked if we would share this. I believe the best way in which to describe my music is intimate. These two pieces speak to the intimacy that I've been able to find within the space I like to describe as my solitude and seclusion, taken from one of my favorite poets, Khalil Gibran. This space is spiritual and represents much more than my physical place of incarceration. My music is an artistic expression of love, loss, struggle, and redemption. I Wish is a song that was written for my son, who transitioned into pure spirit before he had gotten a chance to hear what I like to call his anthem. The song Caught is a reckoning with the truth of my current position in society and my resolve to move forward and upward in spite of. In conclusion, I am honored to have my art brought before you all in accompaniment with Renovare for what we in the hip-hop culture refer to as the remix. I believe that it is fitting to have this and all music explored and expounded upon. And I am, once again, honored to have my words and their sentiment expressed in this space for contemplation and your listening pleasure. I genuinely thank Rebecca and Lalia, whom I consider to be allies, for this wonderful opportunity, and all of you as well. Thank you so much. Sincerely respectful, William Trevance.
If you want to follow along and read the lyrics as you hear them, for those of you who got your smartphones out during intermission, we're okaying you to get them out again. Our most recent post has the lyrics, if you would like to follow along.
Here is Caught.
Reception from a prison cell is at the inner workings of a man's mind, can take him through the depth of hell. But at the same time, the truth of the insane mind paints a perfect picture of exactly where the system failed. I refuse to fail. My struggle to prevail is tooth and nail. As you can tell, I still got a truth to tell. And be it opposition, consequences, I remain optimistic. Fact of the matter is, I did it to myself with just a little help, because the cost was dealt. From the bottom of the deck where disrespect is felt, to the point a man that disrespect himself, where by any means the goal is to protect himself. Not trying to see the business in the trajectory shell, or be the bottom line statistic for projected wealth. Recidivism is a train going off the rails, caught in corrections where corrections can't correct themselves. I'm caught in the wake of my mistakes, standing under consequences. This is day for day. Got a few demons still hard for me to shake, but I can taste freedom and I refuse to break. Caught in the wake of my mistakes, standing under consequences. This is day for day. Got a few demons still hard for me to shake, but I can taste freedom and I refuse to break. Under dim light, I spend nights penning life, trying to find some type of insight into a situation with no promise end in sight. Within the institution built upon men and mice, of men and mice, by mice and men who knew the cheese and sanity over and over again. You really know me cause the know me's to know where I've been, juxtaposed to the hold I had upon the hand. Still reaching for my inner self, there's a struggle within. My solitude and seclusion brought me to who I am. Sometimes your ego will cheat you and emotions deceive you. The realest thing I said to self is that I don't believe you. Then I faced years, embraced tears, let my soul bleed through this pen. William Shakespeare. My life's a comedy, I have no plans on staying here. At the bottom of the runway, they ain't playing fair. I'm caught in the wake of my mistakes, standing under consequences. This is day for day. Got a few demons still hard for me to shake, but I can taste freedom and I refuse to break. Caught in the wake of my mistakes, standing under consequences. This is day for day. Got a few demons still hard for me to shake, but I can taste freedom and I refuse to break. Why try to bury me when I'm very much alive? So many have tried to bury me, but I'm very much alive. Dirt thrown on the sarcophagus that encases my very soul, as if my flesh had turned to stone and my tattoos are now engravings of a man here lies. Concrete walls and wide fences have been mistaken for my tomb. My future reoccurrence is as vague as the afterlife. Nobody knows when, like the coming of Christ. Images of my past self still hang on walls, sit atop of empty fireplaces and lost inside of photo albums like obituaries and funeral programs. My eulogy is still occasionally spoken in front of real talk, behind double shots of straight liquor, and above the buzz in the barbershop clippers. Yeah, I remember William, he was. No, very much alive I am. The now, the forever, and the extension of yesterday. Although I'm one with the spirit, you're not hearing voices. Although I speak from a place beyond the grave, I am not dead, very much alive. My cell is not my soul, so my circumference is boundless. The dead have not the ability to wrestle with life, loss, fear of failure. Only concede to self-affliction, then reverse the chokehold and regret and proceed to tap out all that's unforgiven. Scarred but still breathing, I looked love in the eye and I asked, are we even? And she replied, you're still alive, aren't you? Very much so. Maturate. That's saturate. You demons still hard for me to shake, but I can taste freedom and I refuse to break.
we just want to thank you all so much again for being here with us tonight. It has been such a pleasure to spend the evening with you and share music, and it's such a privilege to share these stories.
If this is your first time hearing about Renovare, coming to one of our events, whether you are here in the building or in the interwebs, thanks for being in the virtual realm, all of you. We would love to meet you, to talk to you, to know you were here. Come find us afterwards. We'd love to say hello or reach out. We'd love to get an email from you or find you on social media. So again, if you haven't yet, Renovare Music, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. If someone knows how to use TikTok, you could teach us. We're not young enough or cool enough. And Twitter we gave up on. But Instagram and Facebook, you can find us there. Or sign up for our email list. You can do that on our website. We'd love to meet you, to stay in touch. And we will leave you with one last song tonight. This is, again, William Trevance, I Wish.
Pressure bust pipes, but also produce diamonds. Spontaneous combustion, compression over time. And the laws are absolute, application self-defining. Never was implied, but what are you applying? From a dawn of comprehension, I've given you these instances. Taught you life is choice, but choices of what you're dealing with. Let no habit hold you back. Get rid of it, I'm 12 steps removed from the yak, but still spilling it. Giving you these grapes that make wine and vinegar. Bigger than me, your sister, bruh. Know you remember the time that I told you that it would be us regardless. Why brick and still us regardless. Took the trial, took the charges, judge pulled the whole carpet. Can't escape your face, you took it the hardest. But you took it the farthest, though your heart is still hardened. I wish you every pain for growth, even if I caused.
I wish for you the pain that'll grow you, the pressure that'll mold you, a love that'll throw you, hold you, console. I wish for you the strength that'll keep you, courage that'll lead. I wish these things for you.
Kings are never born, but raised and cultivated. You're the greatest illustration of my dreams and aspirations. Like I'm David singing song and praises, asking for favor for my son. Lord, hold his head when the rain come, and when the pain come, may he never blame none. Come what may come, may he be the same one. Jubilation, tribulation, he the same one. Steady hand, understand where he came from, and how we came up, how tragedies became us. Family hang-ups, insanity became love. We lost some, even blood on the way up. Weighing in the balance, even blood didn't weigh up. This is way up above the minds of the foolish. Judas and Brutus will abound where the truth is. Truth is, it's somewhat elusive, but you gotta go through this. And what I wish for you is,
I wish for you the pain that'll grow you, the pressure that'll mold you, a love that'll throw you, hold you, console. I wish for you the strength that'll keep you, the courage that'll lead. I wish these things, wisdom for these days, to trust your mind and your heart, lessons from my mistakes, help me guide you this far. The blessings God will create that bring a love that's anew, so you can trust and believe that I wish these things for. I wish for you the pain that'll grow you, the pressure that'll mold you, a love that'll throw you, hold you, so I wish for you the strength that'll keep you, the courage that'll lead. I wish these things for you.
so many things I want to tell you as I watch you take to this life. How mine has been a blessing, being able to show you my wrongs and rights. Not telling you what to do, but telling you the truth. Like the golden rule is to never quit, we see all things through. And to survive, it's just the basics, but to provide this man's life elevated. There are two types of lives led, and that's the dead and the dedicated. I'm persuaded that fear and procrastination are correlated. Knowing now that the true key to greatness is not just knowledge of the truth, but how we choose to face it. The greatest mistake is a love misplaced, and you'll never know her worth if yours is being laid to waste. Please understand that everything you touch is not made to taste. And no one true pleasure is to be sought day to day except that which is God's grace.
I
Seize the day as if your tomorrows will be never, and your yesterdays will remain forever. Cause one day, in a twinkle of an eye, this shall come to pass. So let it be your life's task.
For you.
Life, love, legacy, destiny.
I
wish these things for you.
For you.
I put this on Pauline. I put that on Pauline.